You ready? Yeah. What's good, Chasers? It's your boy 50 of the 50 Show, presented by Category 6 Sports. And I got the man from On 3, CanesSport. Whatever you want to say, this man do it. He been boots on the ground. He go hard. The youngin. Izubee Charles. What's good, my brother? What's good?
Thank you, man. Appreciate you having me on today. Chop it up, talk some Canes recruiting, everything in between.
Oh yeah. Cause we got a lot to talk about. And shout out to Shaw for being the first comment, talking about what's happening. Go Canes. I see you, my boy. You know what I'm saying? Coach Carter, thanks for being a member, coming, and subscribing, my brother, with the Hurricanes, my face. All that. Got DJ Ray, man, with the U's up. Then we got, you know what I'm saying, Michael Walker, thanks for coming and subscribing, saying what's good, fam, you. But more of the story. I'm gonna get right to it though, my boy, Charles. With 2026 recruiting class, dude, this got the chance to be the best recruiting class in Mario since he been here. Like this
Yeah,
best recruiting class.
I think a big thing that's going to factor into that potentially is, seeing them finally win because, the first two real recruiting class Mario had in Miami, he was going off, hey, we're trying to build something. Let me get my guys in, kind of selling a dream, really. And then this past season, obviously you win 10 games. Unfortunately, you don't make the playoffs and, all that stuff happened. But now you got the proof. Now you can tell kids, hey, we got our guys in. You see, what we can do when we have our players in, when we have our recruits in, when we're building what we want to do. And they can just really continue to build off that. Because, I talked to, a lot of different guys. And a lot of these young guys are born in, '06, '07. They don't really know what it looks like to see Miami winning. And I always
Right.
ask them, like, hey, seeing Miami actually win, how does that make you feel? It's like, I've always heard about it. So actually seeing that, plays a big role in how I view them and things like that. And with Coach Cristobal being a guy from South Florida, went to Columbus, played at Miami, a lot of kids can relate to that. And, when I first moved down there, that was Coach Cristobal's first year. I kind of, was getting a feel for the coaches and different, people and what they, thought about the past coaching staff. Not going to, bash them or say anything bad about them. But they said with Mario and the guys, they really can connect to them because he's a guy that was in their shoes, was in the trenches in Miami, knows the culture in the city. So kind of going back to what you said, I do think, that 2026 class had a lot of potential to be, one of the best groups he brings in. And a big reason for that is, seeing Miami actually win and, take those steps in the right direction, becoming a big time program in college football again.
Yeah, it's kind of crazy. You said he really be in the trenches because you really be in the trenches too. You know what I'm saying? You can't. You gotta let the people know, Zoo, because you top dog out here now, man. I didn't think you were gonna show up. I'm like, oh man, Zuby big time. You ain't gonna show up for this. But hey, you here. I appreciate you. You be in the trenches. You be talking to the kids. They connect well with you too.
Yeah,
So I'm kind of glad you said that.
no, for
So so I want to ask you this: who the top three must get in this class?
Yeah, so I'm gonna start with two guys from South Florida. I'm gonna go with Sham Damadana's Derek Cooper. He's a guy that kind of had his breakout year. He was a Cardinal Gibbons before, always a good prospect, but he's one of those guys you go on a big stage and he, performed, helped them win another state title. Shout out to Coach Jones and all those boys out there. But he's a guy that you watch. It's like, okay, this kid's different. Can play linebacker, but I think he's gonna play, running back at the next level. Still super raw. But when I tell you the kid is built like a brick house and runs like a deer, so it's like you need to keep those type of kids, in South Florida, in Miami, and with the Hurricanes. And then another guy who's a legacy, Calvin Russell out of Miami Northwestern, 6'4" receiver, can move really well, catch everything you throw in his direction. That's just, one of those other guys that you don't want to see leave South Florida from a program like Miami Northwestern that has a lot of history with the University of Miami too. His mom is in the Sports Hall of Fame, a really big basketball player there. So a lot of connections with that one too. And then I'm going to keep it in the Sunshine State, go up to IMG Academy. Keenai Pepe, obviously, we know Mario Cristobal likes to build his teams from the trenches. He's one of the best, tackles in the country, has that Samoan connection too, play with guys like CeCe Mauanoa. Coach Mirabal has been recruiting him since the 8th grade. So he's one of the guys that I do think are going to be a must-get for the Canes in the 2026 class and a guy that they really like. And, all three of those guys are prospects that, Miami wants to keep in Florida and, wearing that orange and green down the road.
Okay, I like that. And the last name you said, Keenai Pepe, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So I kind of want to piggyback off that. Think about O-line recruiting. We got two legacies: Grant Rice and Cannon Pickett. What's your
Mm-hmm.
thoughts on them two?
Yeah, so both of those guys, like you mentioned, legacies. Grant Wise, dad Ty Wise, played at Miami for a long time. Really good center. Went to Booker T. Washington down here, and then Cannon Pickett. his father, Booker Pickett, his brother playing at Miami now. So 2 legacies. I want to start off with Cannon. I do think, Miami's in a much, much better position with Cannon. Obviously, they're in a good spot with Grant Wise, but I do think with Booker playing here, his older brother is going to, affect him a little bit in that recruitment. Not saying this is 100% Miami. It's easy because recruitment is very fluid. A lot of things can change very, very quickly, but I think Miami's in a really good spot with Cannon. They've been recruiting him, like hell for a very long time. They've recruited that whole family, even with DJ last cycle, Booker before, and all that good stuff. So Miami loves the Pickets, and why not? Great football family, a lot of ties to the program, and real good ball players. And then Grant Wise, plays up in the Panhandle. So a lot of schools, in SEC country, Clemson are really chasing him. Even Oregon's, taking a real good shot at him. And I think that one's going to be, recruitment that plays out a little bit longer and, maybe a little bit more difficult for Miami to land, Grant, because I've had the chance to speak with a couple of times. I've said, hey, I know your dad, played at Miami, but, what's your connection with the Canes? Because obviously it's easy to sell your dad played here, come play here. He's like, honestly, I really love Coach Mirabal, the development, the guys that they're sending to the league, and, their track history of developing guys. So, 2 big-time boys in the trenches that have a lot of ties for the Canes, but I don't think it's going to be a layup with either of the guys. But I do, have a lot of faith that if Coach Cristobal, Coach Mirabal really, set their minds to it, they'll have a great shot at landing both Grant Wise and Keenai Pepe for sure.
Mm-hmm. I like that. And I'm kind of glad you talked about Coach Mirabal, because we got a certain someone in the background. He got this love. He want to hate on Mirabal. And I told him, once freshman might go first round, you can kiss the baby on your little hate for Mirabal. They be like, oh, why he still got arms and all this? Because of what he said in the past. But the old line's a weakness. It was only a weakness 1 year, and it really wasn't a weakness. We just had injuries.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah. Another thing I want to ask you about, and it's like with recruiting, like we talked about the 3 must gets. You talked about, them players. Now, who is your 3 underrated players?
So I'm gonna start off in the 2026 teammate of Darion Coleman. Obviously, well, I can start off with Darion Coleman. Honestly, well, a lot of people are always saying, "Oh, his size is, his size is that." I feel like I'm arguing with people on message boards saying this kid is not 5'10", 160 pounds. He's almost as tall as me. I'm 6'2". I'm saying this kid is at least 6'1", 170 pounds. When we were at the Battle of Miami, you have all the scouts from On3, 247 rivals, and everyone is just in awe of Darion Coleman's arm. Obviously, a lot of Miami fans know about him, but not too many people around the country know about him. Even the Miami fans that do know about him are still kind of, hesitant because of size. I'm telling you, if you watch this kid play football, you're gonna forget about his size. Kid has one of the best arms I've seen, since I've been, covering the Hurricanes for the past 3.5 years. And, I posted a few videos about it, and it's just like the videos do not do this kid's arms justice. He can make every throw, and one thing I feel like that's kind of, an afterthought with this game. He can run. This kid, I won't be surprised if he's running a 4.5. He's running with, his wide receivers. He's having a good time out there. So that'll be, my number 1 underrated guy. And then his teammate at Jones, Larry Miles Jr., he's the one that during the Legend Camp, Michael Irvin was grabbing up on, saying, we need to offer this guy. And then he gets to offer, balls out at Jones with Darion Coleman, almost wins the state title with those guys. And then comes the Battle of Miami, goes crazy. They win it with DEFCON, throws a passing touchdown too. Scouts going crazy over him. They're the top 2 performers at that tournament. Not just 7-on-7. I went up to Orlando and watched these guys play. I wrote in the story, I said Larry Miles can make a defender, missing a phone booth. The kid is shifty, great hands, and just one of the guys that I really, really like. And then another wide receiver, I'm just show the offense a lot of love. J-Rock from Shalom Madonna just had a clip go viral, him dunking on 2 people. So I feel like he's kind of a carbon copy of Xavier Restrepo, just a really solid slot receiver. But there's a lot of, underrated guys in South Florida and across the state of Florida. I can go on, but those 3 kids off the top of my head for sure.
And I love that J-Rock one, because that boy is, you say Restrepo clone, but man,
yeah,
that's athleticism, man.
Mm-hmm.
I'm talking about dunking on people. Man, I didn't know he could get up like that.
Yeah,
and then him and Russell going at it on the court. Yeah, that was pretty cool too.
Mm-hmm.
What you were about to say?
No, I was gonna say, man, I saw J-Rock work on the football field, and then I've heard rumors, this kid it might be better at basketball. Than you see clips like that, and then you mentioned him going bucket with Calvin Russell. Was like, all right, this kid is special for sure.
Right. Real special, man. And another thing, we got 10 players that's going to the senior combine, right? I believe it's Cam Ward, Kiko, Tyler Barron, Restrepo, Sam Brown, Jacoby George, Damian Martinez, Jalen Rivers, Andy Borregales. I'm missing one more. I'm trying to think off the top of my head. It was one more. Cause 10 though. I was trying to get it all 10. It was one more I'm missing. I'm trying to think. I believe it was I
Tyler
said
Barron.
I said Tyler Barron. I said Tyler Barron. Cause we only got 2 on defense. That was the whole point. And that was a reason for that because you seen how our defense was giving it up all year. So I really feel I said Jalen Rivers. Yeah, I said Jalen Rivers. It was one more that I missed. I know I said Cam Ward. That was the first name.
Royo, maybe. Do you say Royo?
There you go.
Yeah.
Elijah Arroyo. How could I forget? I
Yeah.
talked about him so much on the last episode. It's crazy. But like, I only brought that up because do you feel like our defense improved to the point where we get more Senior Bowl invites on the defense side next year?
I think you'll have to, man, because first I want to say, I feel like these 10 invites or the 8 guys, or 7 guys on offense, that just reflects how, lethal that Miami offense was last year. And I feel like that's something that, people are kind of overlooking because of Cam Ward and all this stuff. But man, I interviewed Izubee Charles over the summer, and I'm going to post the clip one of these days. He said, hey, we're going to have the best offense in the country, and this is in July. And then to see them do all that they did, during the fall, actually finish the year number 1 points per game, number 1 yards per game was insane. And then kind of reflecting on defense, obviously you'd want to see, guys like Simeon Barrow get that invite, but, congratulations to Tyler Barron and Kiko for that. But that does show you like how, the difference between how good that offense was and how good that defense was. Obviously, they made the necessary changes. Love Coach Guidry, love Coach Jackson, love all those guys on that side of the ball. But, something had to change. And, one thing I love about, Coach Cristobal is when he sees something that needs to be changed, he's not hesitating. He's pulling that trigger. He's saying, all right, this was our Achilles heel last year. We're going to make a change. Bringing a guy like Coach Heatherman, I think is going to be, very good for Miami. And, the type of scheme they run because, we obviously saw last year up front with all the stunts and all the, not gimmicks, but different type of looks to try to confuse defenses. Coach Heatherman kept it simple. He said, hey, we're just going to play fast and physical. And, with players that Miami has, those type of talents in South Florida and then around the country, I feel like that's the best type of way to play, with those type of guys. And I do think, like you said, next year we'll see a bigger push of guys on the defensive side of the ball getting those, recognitions, like an Arroyo making, a big splash at the Reese's Bowl, and like Kiko, being on the cover of the East-West Shrine final score, had that fumble cover and things like that. So I do think, next year Miami's defense will be, vastly improved, and we'll see a lot more guys, represented in those, NFL combines and, Senior Bowl events.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's the thing, like what you were saying about like Corey Henderman keeping it simple and things of that nature. Like, and this is what I'm hoping he could be. He could be the Shannon Dawson of the defense, like a great hire, like that just improves every year, that gets the job done. Because when you look at the film, you see it. He know how to get people, you know what I'm saying? Like he know how to use players. Like he had a certain player, he wasn't even a DN, he was like a safety linebacker, he was getting sacks. And then you got, you know what I'm saying, D lineman like the boy Smith eating. Then you got, the freshman sensation from Minnesota, Corey Parrish out there balling. So he know how to scheme and get these guys right. And I feel like he got a lot to work with in Miami because our D line and that secondary. So with that being said, speaking of secondary, what's your thoughts on Flowers to the youth?
Yeah, so kind of came a bit of a surprise with him, reclassifying at 2025, and this one's going to be really, really fast because like we talked about a little bit before the show, recruiting is such a long process, but now with Javari Flowers, he's cutting maybe a 12-month process down to a month, and some change because February is a dead period. He can't really go on campus, interact with the coaches, and then March, and then I think he has to enroll in a school by April to be eligible to play in the summer and all that stuff. So this is going to be something that, like I said, goes from a 12-month cycle to a 1.5-month cycle. And obviously, Miami's always been, in the race for Javari Flowers, showing him love and all that good stuff. But another thing you have to toss in there, Miami just changed its entire defensive staff. So everybody that was recruiting him is no longer there. So, Coach Etheridge, shout out to him. Did a great job of recruiting at Auburn, did a great job of building that secondary in Houston. That was, a little bit better than I think a lot of people, may think, or, obviously here Houston, you're not saying, oh, great secondary, but I feel like he's going to, do a great job in Miami. But, at the end of the day, I think it does come down to, Coach Cristobal and, how bad does he really want Javari Flowers? And obviously a lot of other things are going to play into this recruitment. But right now I do think Miami's in a good spot. But obviously just got back from Georgia and, the Bulldogs aren't cutting any corners with top guys they really like. And Javari's a guy that I think, if he's not making an impact, day one in the secondary, he's going to make an impact in that return game. Probably one of the best returners, I've seen since I've, covered South Florida. Kid just makes plays. And, you need those type of players, electric type of players from the crib to stay at the crib and make plays, for the crib and from the fans. So that's going to be a recruitment that we're going to be, all over. Like I said, February is going to be a little bit more quiet, but come March, when spring patches and things like that, it's going to really heat up with him. But only time will tell, but I do think Miami's going to have a real good shot at keeping him home for sure.
Oh yeah. And I love the kid game. I know there's been on Twitter, I see Florida State fans feeling themselves, so I can't wait to shut that up, hopefully. But this is like one of the ones, like when he reclassified, I saw like he about to be like the 19-year-old rule, whatever. Mm-hmm. And I'm looking at that and I'm just like, oh, okay. But when I think about it, I'm like, he actually like, even though he skipped the process and like coming up early, you look at his game and he's like that. Like you saw him in the Under Armour game. He was already balling, already getting picks and locking, people up. So yeah, like that is a real talented kid right there. Real talented kid. And another thing, before I ask you another question, we got 270 people in here on X and YouTube. If you're on X, you know what to do. Retweet and like. If you're on YouTube, you also know what to do. Like, share, subscribe. Hit that notification bell. Make sure you hit that like button because it helps with the algorithm. Become a YouTube member. All that. Shout out to my boy Kendall for just becoming a YouTube member. And shout out my boy Izubee Charles, for coming on the show and talking this recruit because this is a top insider, guys. This man knows his stuff. I'm trying to tell y'all, this man knows his stuff, man. I'm like, hey man, I'm gonna have to talk to him. I need to know some things too. I'm gonna have to talk to him off the record, man, because I need to know some things. Yeah, but this man knows his stuff, man. But
I appreciate it, man.
Well, another thing I want to ask you, what got you into like just recruiting and just everything what you got going on with On3 and stuff of that nature?
Yeah, so it's actually a crazy story. So I'm from Fort Myers on the other side of Florida. Not, I'm not gonna say small town, but nothing compared to Miami, South Florida, all that stuff. So I've always known I wanted to be in sports. Growing up playing football from when I was in second grade to high school. I knew in high school I was a $140. I was running probably like a 4.8, 4.7, 4.9. I was like, all right, I'm not gonna play college ball, so gotta stay in sports somehow. In college, I studied journalism, and then my senior year, I was actually volunteering at a basketball camp, and the people from USA Today came and was like, hey, man, if you want an opportunity, I was like, if y'all got anything, man, I just need to get my foot in the door. So I started working for USA Today covering high school sports back in Fort Myers. And then, Gary Furman gave me the opportunity to come work for the Miami Hurricanes. I jumped on it. And then, here we are 3 years later, covering football, basketball, baseball, all that good stuff, but primarily football and recruiting right now. But just thank to God, honestly, because, I didn't really, know where I was going to go after college. And like I said, Gary just, messaged me out of nowhere, said he saw my talent, and, we're here now. So just excited to see what the future holds as well, too.
Shout out to Gary. Shout out to Gary Furman, man. That's a stand-up dude there, man. He found you. That's talent right now. Cause hey, you be, boots on the ground. Look at you. You got the Marlins hat on. You the old school Marlins. So I like that. You've been doing your thing. Another thing, let the chasers know where they can find you at.
Yeah, so on Twitter, it's my name is Izubee Charles, IZUBEE CHARLES. All my articles and stories are at CanesSport.com, and then on Instagram, CanesSport. Post a lot of reels from the 7-on-7 tournaments, highlighting some of the players, interviews, stories, all that good stuff. So Twitter, X, Izubee Charles, CanesSport, and then CanesSport on all other social platforms as well too.
Yeah, this man be working, y'all. This man has been working, man. This man has been working. Oh, what's up with that 100-yard walk interview you had?
Oh yeah, so that's just something I kind of try to do to switch it up a little bit because with all these kids that not throwing shade on other reporters, but I feel like sometimes it's just like the same old asking these kids the same thing, and getting the same responses. So sometimes when I do the 100-yard walks and the inside the lines is because, at the end of the day, these kids are still humans. These kids are still high school players. They're not just, 4-star prospect, blah, blah, blah. So I always try to, get their story, get a different side of them to kind of, talk about who they are away from football, what are some of their talents and things like that. And, different type of ways, walking down the field. Usually they're running people over, catching it over. Let's just, walk down the field, chop it up, get to know you a little bit. So, that's one of the things I like to do to kind of get another side of some of these top recruits down in South Florida and across, the state of Florida itself.
Okay. Well, with that being said, let's get into a commercial break. What's good, Chasers? It's your boy 50. And at Category 6 Sports, we are proud to announce that we are partnered with MyBookie. Yeah, that's right. MyBookie has gave us the opportunity to give y'all a special offer, and they are matching up to $1,000 plus a $10 casino chip with this promo code CAT the number 6. Yeah, that's right. CAT the number 6. CAT 6. Remember that. Yeah, they matching anything. You put 500, they matching. You put 1,000, they matching. You put 1,200, they'll match 1,000, but that 200 is on its own. So yeah, y'all make sure y'all use that promo code that my bookie has gave us to give you. It's CAT 6. CAT the number 6. Y'all go get that. Yeah, shout out to my bookie for sponsoring this video. Y'all know the link is in the description, CAT 6. And another thing, we got 241 people in here on X and YouTube. If you're on X, you know what to do. Retweet and like. If you're on YouTube, you also know what to do. LSS, like, share, subscribe, hit that notification bell. Make sure you hit that like button because it helps with the algorithm. Become a YouTube member. Matter of fact, like, share, subscribe to everything Izubee Charles got going on. Y'all make sure y'all get on that because this man, he really in the field. This man really in the field. Speaking of really being in the field, talk to me about them 7-on-7 tournaments that you've been to.
Yeah, man, a lot of talent, at these, Battle Miami pylon events. And, I feel like during 7-on-7 season is like when you really start seeing kids really make a name for yourself. Like we mentioned early in the show, guys that are kind of under the radar, I think before the Battle Miami, Larry Miles, obviously, local reporters and people that cover the Canes know about him, but he really, made himself on a national stage. You got guys like Chad Simmons, Steve Wiltfong, typing about him. And, when those guys, get word of a recruit, that's when people really, start taking notice of them. But, you see a lot of talent from South Florida, outside of South Florida, and just different guys that say, okay, this is who we're going to be, talk about in a few years. And, one guy I want to mention is, from Miami Northwestern, Nick Lanier, 2027 wide receiver. And just the more I watch him, the more I'm like, wow, this kid has, superstar written all over him. And, when he talks to him after real humble kid, knows what he's talking about, not, going too crazy. Obviously, you can get hyped during 7-on-7, but, when the game's over, he's shaking hands, being respectful. So you just see a lot of different things, a lot of different kids that are going to be future stars in South Florida. Yeah, man. It's just crazy because it's like right there, South Florida, just continue to produce talent. I feel like it got a little. I feel like it's coming back up, but for a little minute, I felt like it was kind of going down. I ain't gonna lie to you. Felt like it kind of. The only reason why I said that, like, I feel like it was going down because I felt like, even though Palm Beach still producing, it was just like Palm Beach. I feel like they players moving to where we at, like Miami. So you don't even know where they be from no more. So they really be from the muck, but they playing at a Miami high school. So yeah. I was just looking at that. I'm just like, okay, yeah, things are just changing, but it's getting right back up there. I ain't gonna lie though, bro. They been putting out them guys. For sure, yeah. Like you mentioned, a lot of players, transferring because I feel like the high school transfer portal sometimes is almost as crazy as the college transfer portal with kids playing from multiple schools in a year and coming from West Palm Beach, playing down in Miami. But, South Florida in general, the tri-state area, or, like Coach Cristobal said, got to build a wall around the state of Miami. And, he's doing a great job of keeping all those local talents from Palm Beach, Dade, and, Broward County home for sure. Yeah. And another thing, hey, y'all make sure y'all click on that link right there. Y'all want to ask this, you see the On 3 Insider, Izubee Charles. Yeah, he got all that. You want to know, he got you. He got you, man. He got you. Boots on the ground. Contrary to popular belief, him and Gary got boots on the ground. They like to hate on that man, but that man really in the field. So yeah. And another thing, like you talked about Nick Nalir, you talk about the kids that you see, but
What's an out-of-state prospect that caught your eyes?
That's a good one. That's a good one. There's a wide receiver from New York, actually, which is surprising because you don't hear too much about players from New York. His name's Messiah Hampton. He's a wide receiver playing football for 24K, and he was actually on campus, again this weekend. So making that from New York to Florida is not short at all, and that kind of shows you how interested the Hurricanes are in him. So he's definitely a guy to watch out for that 2026 class. Messiah Hampton, a wide receiver from New York. He's a really good out-of-state guy, but there's a lot. Honestly, you got guys from Bishop Gorman. Obviously you got SJ Alfaituli. This side Elijah Lofton from the year before, and they got another guy over there, Prince Williams, DN. He was one of the junior kids that were at the Under Armour event. That's really good. Jackson Cantwell, obviously number one player in the 2026 class, recently put Miami in his top 6. He's a guy that just looks like a first-round draft pick. Comes in looking like Thanos, 6'7", almost 300 pounds. Parents were Olympians. He's a big-time recruit. Another offensive lineman, Emmanuel Nyancho, out of DC, another just massive kid that the Hurricanes are in the mix for early. So obviously we love to keep the South Florida kids home and the Florida kids home, but a lot of talent, outside of Florida. And those are just a few guys, off the top of my head that I can think of.
All right. And my boy, make sure I got you right. My boy Anthony Mazzano, thanks for coming, subscribing, and calling in. What's good?
Hey, Izubee, I have a question for you. What are your opinions on Jermaine Santana from Texas and Jaden Deck, the 2 DBs out of Texas?
What class and what year are they?
2026.
2020. I'm not too familiar with those two names, to be honest. What high school are they out of?
Jordan is from Frisco in Lone Star High School, and Jermaine is out of Carthage.
Yeah, no, I'm not too familiar with those two names from the DB. Maybe because Coach Etheridge is new with them, but under Jackson and all those guys, I'm not too familiar with those guys and who
Who's
they
your
are.
underrated safety in this class out of anybody, nobody in Florida? Just overall underrated player that nobody's talking about that's not a South Florida kid or a Florida kid.
Underrated safety. Well, I'm gonna kind of
DB in general. DB in general.
I'm gonna have to keep it in South Florida because there's one kid I think is gonna really blow. Actually, I'll give you two. So out of Texas, a kid named Chase Calicut. He recently just got offered by Coach Field. He plays for South Florida Express. Really, really good DB, about 6'3", 6'4", moves really well, and kind of a guy that when I watched South Florida Express really caught my eye. And then gonna go with a local kid out of South Day, Tadarius Hughes. Kid is an alien, man. 6'5", moves really well. Was just playing center field and just hawking down, everything in the middle field for the Express. So those two guys are kind of under the radar guys, but I think you start hearing a lot about them as we.
Someone I said this recently. When I look at Calvin Russell, his comparison, he reminds me a little bit of T. Higgins, the receiver out of Cincinnati. Do you agree with that comparison, or do you think he's more athletic than T?
I like that comparison. I think he's a little bit bigger than T. Higgins, honestly, because Calvin Russell, I think some places he listed 6'4". Kid might be 6'5", 6'6" even, but I do like that comparison. Two bigger receivers.
No, in terms of his body, I like his height, but he's very slight. He's very lean and skinny. Do you agree, Cal? Yeah, or is Calvin bigger than people think he actually is in terms of how strong he is?
He's definitely slim, but I'm not calling him, small by any means. And I think with a guy like that, you get him into a college weight, room, it's not gonna be hard for him to put on, some real mass. But he's making plays.
And J-Rock, to me, J-Rock is. I'm gonna say this: J-Rock to me reminds me of Cooper Kupp.
J-Rock is definitely talented. A lot of different comparisons, but like 50 was saying earlier, the kid is just an athlete that makes a lot of plays against the best competition.
He scares me. If honestly,
wait, hold up, Anthony Mazzano. I just thought about something. Anthony, you hear me?
Yeah, I'm here.
All right. You brought up Jermaine Santana. Why do you like him? I just want to know. What did you see?
Yeah, Jermaine Santana. I see a lot of Earl Thomas, like how he plays the game, like the safety position. He can go in the box, and he can play single high. He's a mixture of Cam and Earl Thomas, in my opinion. Jermaine out of Carthage, and what's scary about him? he just started playing safety. He played receiver his first 2 years at Lone Star.
Mm-hmm. Well, I got you. Well, Anthony, thanks for calling in, my brother. Well, you know what's going on. Well, I appreciate you though.
Have a good day.
You too, man. Go Cane. Yeah, man. Shout out my boy Anthony Mazzano. Now we got another call in. Don Juju, what's good?
What's up, fellas? How y'all doing?
Hi.
Why you laughing, gang? Why you
Because I
laughing?
already know you with the BS, bro. I already know.
I ain't. No, I was coming up here
No.
to ask Izubee a question, man.
All right.
So I was in here and I was talking about it earlier with a couple other people from fan bases. And how do you feel about our chances on Cantwell and Emmanuel? I can't say his last name, but them two, as far as the two top offensive tackles this class, because I know we got to replace one, because obviously Francis is going to be offensive tackle 1 this year.
Yeah, no. So I'll start off with Cantwell, who I mentioned a little bit ago. Like you said, Miami's got to replace, Francis. They might have to replace every single person on the offensive line if you look across the board, because everybody's going to be, draft eligible next year. And he sees an opportunity to come in and potentially, be a Francis, be a year one starter, a 3-and-out type of guy. So I do think Miami's in a bit of a better spot with Cantwell right now, because he's already been on campus before. Miami staff went to go see him, in Missouri. He's hoping to get back down there to Miami for an official visit. So I think the Canes are in a really good spot for him. And then with Emmanuel and Hyancho out of the D.C. area, he's a guy that, when I spoke with him at the Under Armour event, he said the biggest thing with Miami is, Coach Cristobal being an offensive line guy, men, back in the day. And he said, what better person to learn from, that played the position. And obviously he's going to, care to the other position groups. But at the end of the day, his heart is with the O-line. And he talked about Coach Mirabal and how they, developed Panay Sewell out in Oregon, and, how that has a big, effect on the way he views the program. But he's a guy that hasn't visited Miami yet. And, we always hear about guys taking visits. Like with me, I think that is the biggest thing with a kid. If you don't get a kid on campus, if he doesn't get a real feel for the program, what you guys have to offer, you can kind of kiss that goodbye. So I think if Miami gets Emmanuel on campus, in the spring, that'll boost their chances for sure. But with Cantwell right now, I do think they're in a little bit better spot with him for sure.
Okay, and then I got another one. What you feel on the status about Jalen Waters? We know him as Lil Drip, but what you feel about Jalen Waters? Like, what's going on in that recruitment? You think we able to flip him, or you think he stay loyal to Florida?
Yeah, it's going to be a race to the finish. I think regardless of what happens, that's going to come down to signing date next year. But, he's been in Miami 2 times the last 3 weeks. The first time he was here the weekend of January 19th, Miami didn't have a defensive back coach. Now this time around, he got to meet Coach Etheridge, and, looking forward to building that bond. And, like I said, with J-Rock too, or Javari Flowers, I think that's the biggest thing, because you can't commit to the program not knowing who your DB coach is going to be. Obviously, at the end of the day, a lot of it comes back to Coach Cristobal, but I feel like him meeting Coach Etheridge and, them continue to build that bond with Coach Heatherman as well is going to be key. But, you're not coming to a school, 2 times in 3 weeks if you don't have a real interest. And he doesn't live, up the road. He's coming from Tampa area. So, we'll have to, continue to monitor that. But I do think Canes are definitely going to give Florida a run for their money for Jalen Waters.
You heard that, Juju?
Yeah, I heard it.
Yeah. Baby Drip.
I got one final question though before I get out of here.
All right.
So obviously receiver targets in my eyes is Calvin Russell and Larry Miles. I feel like it's probably our top 2 that is reasonable and that we can grab. Do you think we go after, if we get those 2, do you think we go after any other receiver? Simple as the fact that how we've been recruiting receiver the last 2 years, that you don't want to overload the room and have an Ohio State situation where a whole class end up leaving because they don't play.
Yeah, no, I think every cycle you can, kind of expect 2 at the bare minimum. But I do think if there's another guy that's still on the board that they really like, that Coach KB likes, that Coach Cooney likes, that Coach Varner likes, it's going to be hard to say, we got 2 receivers. We don't want to take, another guy if he's interested in Miami. But, you obviously, they want to go big on the outside. And, what better way than get a 6'5", kid from South Florida who's been making plays since he was a kid. And then, Larry Miles is, like I said, one of the most underrated players in the country, in my opinion. And I feel like by the end of his senior year, he's going to be a top 150 kid that, everybody in the country wants. So I definitely think those two guys are, near the top of Miami's board. But if there's another guy that they really like that says, hey, I want to come to the U, it's going to be hard to say no to that for sure.
All right, for sure. All right, fellas. Y'all have a great one. Enjoy the rest of the show.
All right, my boy Juju, thanks for calling in. That's my boy there. He be on some of the episodes too. And another thing, we got 316 people in here on X and YouTube. If you're on X, you know what to do. Retweet and like. You're on YouTube, you also know what to do. LSS, like, share, subscribe. Hit that like button. It helps with the algorithm. Subscribe is free. All that. You know what I'm saying? Make sure y'all like, share, subscribe. Izubee Charles. You know what I'm saying? Everything he got going on. The man be putting in work, man. He be putting in work. He young, you know what I'm saying? I'm trying to get to where he at. He younger than me. You know what I'm saying? So, yeah. Oh, man. AJ, thanks for coming and subscribing. Big U's in the chat. Yes, Big U's in the chat, bro. Big U. Yourself, thanks for coming and subscribing. Flowers and Russell is a must get. Yeah, they are. And we got a chance to get Flowers now. Manny, thanks for coming and subscribing. Izubee the GOAT. Good stuff, 50. Hey, man. I ain't think the GOAT was going to show up. You know what I'm saying? I ain't think the GOAT was going to show up. But, yeah, man. Hey, he here. Kane forever. Thanks for coming, subscribing, and being a member. He say, yo, 50 Izubee, Canes. Yes, Canes fair. Yeah. 50, keep doing your thing, big dog. Yeah, I see you put the Hurricanes up. Yeah. Shout out to you. Students of the game, thanks for coming and subscribing with the great show. Yeah, salute to you. Salute to you guys, man. And, them boys did big things at the Senior Bowl. They was at the Senior Bowl. So, yeah. Had Restrepo shine out the pod again. I think Restrepo loved the cat. I think he loved Category 6, man. I think he loved Category 6. Wait, hold on. Let me get this bozo up here real quick. BB Low, thanks for coming. Subscribe with the yeah, that Gator stuff. Yeah. Matter of fact, since you've been doing this, what fan base has annoyed you the most?
I don't think I can really answer that because everybody. I just think I just love watching all the fan bases go at it. I don't think anybody annoys me because at the end of the day, it's just like it's all fun and games and people just trolling. So I always love seeing the Florida State Miami beef, the Florida Miami beef, and even the Cal. That was the funniest thing to me. The guys from Cal making all the AI memes and the songs and all that stuff. That was real fun to watch. But I won't say anybody's annoying, but everything's just funny, man, on Twitter and all that good stuff.
Yeah. I kind of like that you brought up the Cal because that was just funny because they really didn't care about jokes. They were really just showing their intellect. That's all they were showing. Like, yeah, we appreciate you. Like they took it in stride. Like they ain't really. It was actually just different. And it's gonna be fun to see this year because we go to Dallas in November. So I want to see how them SMU fans gonna feel. Basically having our players help them build a program. Mm-hmm. So that's just another thing that's gonna be interesting. See how they talk. Another thing I want to talk to you about, Izubee. Matter of fact, hey, put that picture up there about the recruits in the state. Like, what I'm saying, Florida, Texas, all that. Put that picture up there for me real quick. I want to get my boy Charles, what I'm saying, Izubee, thoughts on this one. Now, you see that. Now, I'm going to say this. Texas is like a whole nother country. That's how big it is. But we right there with 37. Your thoughts, my brother?
Yeah, it's funny that you say this because this is kind of something that me and some other, guys that covered down here talked about. It's like, to be honest, I'm not saying this was a bad year, but this was kind of a down year in Florida and South Florida in general, in my opinion. Obviously, it doesn't get much better than 2024 with Jeremiah Smith and all those guys. But, I feel like 2026 is definitely going to be a bounce back year for Florida. I think they take over, that top spot again. But no, nonetheless, obviously, like you mentioned, Texas, like its own country pretty much with, all those different schools and all that stuff. But, hey, I feel like Florida gets it done. And one thing I do want to say about Texas, though, that I always think about with high school is they never go out of state to play other big teams. Because you see the boys from Cali come over. You see St. John Bosco came over. You see Gorman come over. You see Luke Milton and the boys from Georgia come over. Like the top, top schools always go out of state. But Texas always, plays for themselves and stays over there. So one of these days, I do really want to see one of those big Texas schools at Duncanville or, somebody come over and play a real team in Florida. But shout out those boys in the Lone Star State. A lot of talent over there. But I'm always rocking with Florida. They think it's number one for sure.
Yeah. I'm looking at California. They kind of falling off low key. I'm looking at them. I'm like, damn, Indiana on here? I didn't even know. I didn't expect to see Indiana. But yeah, California, they used to be them guys. I don't know what's going on. We gonna see this year, but they used to be them guys. But like you were saying, another thing you saw, like Georgia was like third with about 36, and I'm like, damn, boy, that's a state that's coming up.
Mm-hmm.
I've been seeing them lately. So,
a lot of talent in Georgia. And, like I said, they're not afraid to come down here. Two years in a row, Milton, Luke Nichols, shout out to the Miami commit, who I think would be real good, came down here. Lost to Western last year, beat American Heritage this year. So those boys aren't scared to come in and want all the smoke for sure.
Right. And with that being said, let's get into another commercial break. My producer. What's good, Chasers? It's your boy 50. And here at Category 6, we are proud to be sponsored by Twinkle Beds. And they gave us a code to give y'all that give you 30% off. It's CAT6. CAT, the number 6. Yeah, that's right. You get 30% off. It's reusable. And they got luxury beds at affordable prices. That's right. Luxury beds at affordable prices at Twinkle Beds. You feel me? Twinkle Beds. And they deliver to in all 50 states. And another thing is that I would suggest you get the Twinklepedic bed because it's real comfortable. It helped me. Chiropractic recommended. But all they, beds are chiropractic recommended. But if you don't like that one, they got a 90-day window where you can return it or swap it out. So either way, you don't lose. You feel me? You don't lose. And another thing, you got a significant other, they're not going to leave this bed. That's how comfortable these beds are. They're not going to want to leave. So y'all make sure y'all go holler at Twinkle Beds and go get you an affordable mattress. Yeah, man. Shout out to Twinkle Beds for sponsoring this video. That link is also in the description. You know the code CAT, the number 6. And we got 345 people in here on X and YouTube. If you're on X, you know what to do. Retweet and like. If you're on YouTube, LSS, like, share, subscribe. Hit that notification bell. Hit that like button. It helps with the algorithm. Subscribe. It's free. You know what I'm saying? Show love to my boy Izubee. Matter of fact, let the people know where they can find you at, Izubee.
Yeah, on X, my name is Izubee Charles, IZUBEE CHARLES. Instagram at CanesSport, TikTok at CanesSport, and then Twitter and CanesSport.com for all my news and all the latest Miami Hurricanes news as well.
Yeah. And let me find out, you know what I'm saying? Gary Furman know how to evaluate talent. Let me find out, man. That man found you in Naples, man. That's crazy, man. That's real crazy. Well, another thing, look off topic from, you know what I'm saying, Canes. Let's talk about that crazy trade in the NBA real quick. Cause what the hell? Matter of fact, put that picture up there for me, producer. Put that cause I'm like, hey, the Lakers did it again. They don't flee somebody again. Like, look at, I didn't believe it. I woke up to it. I ain't gonna lie to you. I woke up to it.
I was shocked. I think I was at dinner, or I was at one of my homeboys. Something. He shows me a text. He's like, "Luka just got traded to Lakers." I said, "Luka who? Not Doncic, not 77." And then we went back and forth. And then you check Shams, you check everybody. I was shocked. I was shocked because I'm a big NBA guy. I'm a Heat fan. I was hoping maybe we work out something to get somebody. I'd have gave my left leg for Luka to come to the Heat, man. But for the Lakers to get Luka is just like LeBron is go LeBron. And I seen a picture of him looking at an AD some type of way. I say that's a look. That's what he's looking on. But crazy, man, crazy.
Yeah, that look is crazy because he gave Wade the look.
Everybody, the bronze side eye, pack your bags, man. You're leading the team.
And it's just crazy because it's like, what the hell are the Heat doing, man? What are we doing? Do we care about winning anymore?
Pat Riley's just too stubborn, in my opinion.
Yeah.
But, hey, man, Heat culture, man. I'm going to ride them boys till the wheels fall off.
Oh, that's my team. I'm going to let you know now. It was fun. I saw all 3 chips. I'm going to enjoy it. How I feel, hey, the days like he still think it's 2010, they don't hit free agency no more, bro. Like, I know you got all that cap space in 2026, but you got to make trades. And my only hope is, hey, we get somebody like Zion Williamson or Anthony Edwards. We need something like that. Anthony Edwards look like Dwayne Wade, long lost son out here, the way he played the game. So
he's the truth, man.
Yeah, so I'm just looking at that and I'm just like, damn, these boys are did it again. You can't even hate on the Lakers, man. It just is what it is. They got a history of doing this.
Yeah, I said this is the NBA making up for that Chris Paul trade when they was about to get from New Orleans.
Yeah.
They just had to let this one go through because man, oh man, it was crazy.
Yeah, that was real crazy. That was real crazy. Matter of fact, hey producer, play that JD Pickett video for me real quick by Carson Beck. Play that video for me real quick. That was a good one down.
A lot of people will point to what last year was. Hey, he had 12 picks. Georgia didn't win the national championship. Carson Beck didn't have nearly the year we thought he should have. Well, the year that you thought he should have versus the year he had, I don't think we need to dock him based on what the expectations were preseason. Like, I understand he was supposed to be the number 1 overall pick and is supposed to win the Heisman Trophy and all that, but like he's still at a top 10 QBR in all of college football. I believe his completion percentage would have been massively higher should he not have had a receiving core that led America in drops. Like, we also saw what he was a year ago with real weapons around him. With a McConkey and Bowers, dude's all SEC. So as much as you want to talk down on what last year was for Carson Beck, I hear you. I don't even think you're incorrect for having an objection, but I just think there needs to be equal weight to maybe the fine print of what this year was in addition to what last year was. I don't think Carson Beck just forgot how to throw a football. I'm really excited to see what he looks like in that Shannon Dawson offense.
Whole lot of facts from that video. Whole lot of facts. Your thoughts, Charles. Your thoughts.
Yeah, shout out JD. He knows what he's talking about for sure. And, I agree with him because you look at Georgia's team last year compared to 2023 when he had the weapons around him, a good run game. I think Georgia's run game went from 17 to, almost 100. Receivers led the country in drops, and Carson Beck obviously still had a, pretty decent year. And if you look at his receivers, am I frozen right now?
Yeah. I believe you're frozen right now. Wait, hold up. Let me see, sorry. Hold up. Let me see, sorry. Oh, let me see. My boy Izubee, you back up here?
Hold on. Let me hop out and I'll just rejoin it real quick now.
All right. But yeah. Oh man. Had a little technical difficulties. You know how that go. But yeah, Carson Beck, you can hate all you want. The man is like that. Like, they be talking about all that. BB Low, thanks for coming and subscribing to some. What's up, 50? Yeah. Throw that you up, BB Low. Throw that you up. Xavier Phillips say, Georgia Breeze Dogs. Thanks for coming and subscribing, my boy. Thanks for coming and subscribing. All right. My boy Izubee back. I don't know what my producer's doing. But yeah, back to you Carson Beck points before you know what I'm saying, technical difficulties. You know how it go.
Yeah, for sure. Now, I'm a big fan of Carson Beck. I know a lot of people, see the, I think 12 interceptions, whatever it may be. But if you look at the schedule, when he threw those interceptions, I think it was between a 3 or 4 game span, which I think it was 3 in one game, or whatever it may be. But for the rest of the year, real clean. And if he doesn't hurt his elbow against Texas in the SEC championship, he's getting drafted in maybe 4th, 3rd round, maybe this year. So he's going to be a day 2 or day 3 guy. He's going to come back to Miami. You mentioned Shannon Dawson's only, improved every single year. And, Miami's going to have one of, if not the best offensive lines in the country. 2 really good running backs, Mark Fletcher and Jordan Lyle, good tight end, and Elijah Lofton. You bring in, a few other guys. Alex Ballman from Tulane, I think, is going to be a really good guy that, might get, slept on a little bit. And then wide receiver, obviously, you lose the majority of your pass catchers from last year. But C.J. Daniels is an absolute baller, in my opinion, from LSU, really shined at Liberty. JoJo Trader, I think, is going to have a breakout year. And then a lot of young bucks in that room, chomping at the bit, looking to make a name for themselves. So Carson Beck's going to have everything you need, around yourself as a QB to succeed. And I think we're going to see that at Miami. Just hopefully the defense can match that level of play, which I do think they will this year.
Yeah, ain't got no choice but to go up for that defense. But I like what you were saying with the Webb, definitely the Lofton, because you seen when he got a tight end, he gonna throw it to him.
Mm-hmm.
He gonna throw it to him. Like man, I wish Cam Ward would have hit Elijah Royal more, but hey, can't do too much complaining for the number 1 offense.
Yeah.
Like as you said, Restrepo told you back in June, July?
Yeah.
Offense gonna be the best. And what was crazy was like all of them was saying it. Like Martinez was saying, you got to pick your poison.
Mm-hmm.
Like all of them kept saying that. And I know we done heard hype before, but nah, them boys meant that. Them boys meant that. So another thing I want to ask you, what you been hearing about around Green Tree lately? What you been hearing around Green Tree?
Yeah, the Young Bucks are showing out, doing good. Everybody's healthy. Well, two things I actually want to talk about specifically. Two players in the secondary, Mario Wallace and Javari Antoine, two guys that a lot of people are concerned about with leg injuries and things like that. Hearing they look great, they're practicing, they're full speed, and just this team is continuing to gel. Really, obviously, year 4, like I said with the recruits, once you start winning, that kind of spreads around. The facilities. Everyone thinks this year can be better. Well, 100, you want to be better than last year, but you really start to believe that because you see the results of what you're putting in. Nobody wants to be doing off-season workouts and things like that, but when you finally start seeing results, that gives you a little bit more motivation, a little bit more oomph to work. And obviously Carson Beck's not back yet, but when he does come back in the summer, things like that, that'll be even more news. But right now, for the most part, everybody's healthy. Everybody's just kind of getting back into the roll of things, and excited about what 2025 holds.
Yes. And I'm excited for them two names you named. Definitely, you want to know what? Like you say, Anton, he's that guy. I don't think people understand what we got out of Louisiana when we got him, because he was woo.
Yeah.
You just see it. Like I'm like, damn, boy, that's a first round DB. Barring injury, first round DB.
I talk to a lot of people in Louisiana in that New Iberia, Westgate area, and players, coaches just say this kid is different. Like he played quarterback for the most part in high school just because he had to, but they said when he went on DB, he was locking everybody down, and LSU really, really wanted to keep him home, but he just said he wanted to be different. And shout out to the old staff for playing a huge role in him, committed to Miami and signing with the Hurricanes, and just excited to see what he can do when he's healthy, because you talk to people that are, in that area, know him, know his family. They say the world of the kid. So excited to see what he can do when he's fully healthy.
Yeah, Trevor Jackson definitely left us a gift. Trevor Jackson definitely left us a gift, man. And the other guy that you talked about, my boy Mario Wallace, when I seen his film, I'm thinking, you want to know what I was thinking of?
That's Cam Kitchens 2.0.
Like, I see that, but I also see that aggression. Like, remember, like, hey, gotta give these bozos credit. But LaMarcus Joyner from Florida State, like, a dog in that nickel, like, making plays, hitting, everything. But he also a ball hawk, as you said, Cam Kitchens 2.0. So it's just like the man is just all around dog. Like he could just do it all at that safety position. I feel like he could play both spots, strong and free.
He's definitely, watching him at Central. I talked when he first got his offer. I'll take it back a little bit. When I first, talked to him when he first got his offer, I was talking about, playing at Central because, he's from South Florida. You know how serious Miami Central is. Those Rocket Boys. Shout out, Coach Drew. Shout out, Roland Smith. And Roland Smith was actually his coach his freshman year. Gave him his first start. His first start was against Zachariah Branch at Bishop Gorman. So they do this kid in the fire from the jump, and he's just risen from it and become, one of the best players in South Florida. Obviously couldn't play because of that injury, but I think the world of Omari Wallace, man. I think he's gonna have a real good career, for the Hurricanes.
Man, that's another thing. They play so much comp in South Florida. That's why they just come into college ready to play. That's why they love recruiting this area, because these boys it's a different mentality. Like you can just go down anybody roster, you're gonna see a South Florida player they're making some type of impact. That's just how it goes. So yeah, man. And another thing, like when you were talking about with the DBs and all that, but you want to know what a player that I've been hearing a lot about? Kellen Wiley Jr. What's your thoughts on him?
Oh my God, that kid is crazy. So obviously, like I mentioned, South Florida football, boom, boom, boom.
Right.
Beginning of the year last year, Gerard Pringle's coming down. Everybody's excited to see Gerard Pringle versus Miami Norland. Miami Norland, their defensive line looked like a college D line, like huge. Shout out to those coaches in Norland, Coach Heidelberg, all those boys. Norland's defense was crazy. So we're coming in, all right, it's going to be Gerard Pringle making all the plays, things of that. First couple drives, you see number 6 on Armwood just knocking people's heads off, like literally knocking people's helmets off. 6'4", coming off the edge, dropping back in coverage, all this stuff. And everybody's asking, who's number 6? You got On 3 there, you got Rivals there, you got 247 there, you got everybody there. Kids just going crazy. People making calls to Dennis on the sidelines, showing the camera like, yo, y'all got to go after this kid. I'm just like, this is the craziest thing I ever seen. And then, you just watch his tape. He just went to a high school that wasn't, producing big guys. He goes to Armwood, he gets that stage, and he blows up, man. I think that kid is going to be special, at Miami. Really, 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 really good kid. Excited. I think he can make an impact, in year one. I really like him. I really like Bobby Pruitt. I really like Popo. I really like Wesley. I think linebackers are going to be in good shape for the next few years. But Kellen Wiley's a different type of kid, man, for sure.
Yeah. Yeah, like, it's kind of funny you brought up that Northern game because that's when everybody got put on him. It was like, huh? Who is this kid? I'm talking about he hitting, knocking people. Helmet's all, like you said, covering. He do it all. Like, it wasn't no bias when I was saying it, but I'm like, yeah, that's the best linebacker in the state.
Yeah, 100%.
Like, and I like the dude that went to Florida. What's his name? Ty Jackson. I like him. You know what I'm saying? There was some other guys out there. Hell, I even like Marcelin that we got because that man's a dog. But I was looking at Kellen Wiley. I'm like, damn, he already got the size. Like you said, 6'4".
Yeah.
Moving how he moving.
Put him on the edge if you want to, too, man. It's crazy.
Yeah, it's crazy. Like, definitely a do-it-all linebacker, man. Definitely a do-it-all linebacker. And another player that I want to ask you about, that's, got to talk about him, Malachi Tony. Your thoughts?
I said Malachi was a sophomore going. So before he reclassified, I said he was the best player in South Florida. Just like his first high school game versus Los Alamitos, playing with Brandon Ennis, all these boys, he's making plays. And, obviously you just see a young buck. You hear about him. They call him Baby Jesus. I'm like, what's going on? Like, this is my first year covering South Florida, hearing them calling a freshman Baby Jesus. I'm like, man, this kid got to be that good. Like, what's going on? And then you see him play. I'm like, all right, I can see it. And then this year, that playoff run he had when he was playing quarterback, when he was hurt half the time, I'm just like, this kid got it all. And then you talk to everybody in American Heritage. Shout out to Coach Mike Smith out there. When he first came into Miami, when he was still in that 2026 class, I said, what stands out about Malachi Tony? He said, this kid has the best hands to ever come through American Heritage. American Heritage has sent probably 12 guys to the NFL in the last 10 years, like among the top schools in the country, sending guys to the league. And he's like, I don't want to, get ahead of myself, but he said that he's up next. And saying he had the best hands American Heritage ever seen, that's all I needed here. Broke the all-time receiving record in 3 years. Like, kid is special. I think he's gonna play early and often at Miami, man. He has that it factor for sure.
Yeah, he got that it factor, big time impact, route running like that, everything. Like he just make plays, and he always been doing it. Like you said, he just been that guy. Like ever since he stepped on the field, he been that guy dominating. So I kind of get it, and he had the right to reclassify. Look how he just dominated. Like he was like, man, it's time for me to go to the big leagues. You feel me? It's like these are little boys to him. You feel me? And I feel like he gonna come to college and damn near replicate that same thing because he's really a dog like that. He's really like that guy. Like as you've seen him, like, all right, I think it was like what year it was? I think he was going up against Chris Ewald one of them years, and I love the kid, but hey, he was doing Chris Ewald, man. Malachi was doing him, man. So it was just like, damn, like he always been him.
Yeah, Malachi, there's not a DB I can remember that kind of shut him down and slowed him down. It's like you mentioned, like you talk to the people down there in Miami, they think he's the most, polished or, ready guy, at the wide receivers. And, obviously, even us, say on 3, you got him ranked as a 3-star. I think that's criminally low. But, with the reclassification and, a lot of the star things, rankings come down to size and, projection and things like that. But with him, you just turn on the tape and you see, he's doing it against, any DB you put in front of him, he's making plays. And, there wasn't a moment too big for him, even versus St. Thomas Aquinas had an interception to seal the game. And, you talk to those coaches down there at Heritage, they said, hey, if they said we do not recommend having guys reclassify, but if there's a guy that we think that can reclassify and go in and be good at the college level, it's Malachi Tony. So hearing that from those coaches and who are some of the realest coaches I've, met down here, shout out to all the coaches in South Florida, but those guys have kept it 100 with me since I got here, and just hearing that from them is all I really needed to hear for sure.
Yeah, definitely for sure. And we got 441 people in here. On X and YouTube. If you're on X, you know what to do. Retweet and like. If you're on YouTube, you also know what to do. LSS, like, share, subscribe, hit that notification bell, hit that like button, help with the algorithm. Subscribe is free. Matter of fact, Izubee, let people know where they can find you, my brother.
Yeah, I'm on X. My name is Izubee Charles, IZUBEE CHARLES, and then all my stories at CanesSport.com and Instagram, TikTok, CanesSport. So make sure to tune in with all that stuff, posting daily on all platforms. So make sure to check out all that good stuff, man.
Yeah, and you want to know what's crazy? I had checked my Twitter like the other day. I'm like, all right, let me go follow Izubee. Already knew him. I already followed you. And we already follow each other back. I was like, damn, we already follow each other. So it was, you know what I'm saying? I was like, damn, I didn't even know. Like, I already knew who you was. Because I done seen your interviews. You done interviewed JoJo, Chance, everybody. Everybody done talk to you. Because like I said, you got boots on the ground. The kids connect to you. You connected with the kids. So, yeah, man, I really appreciate you doing this show with me, man. Showing love to the Chasers. And y'all make sure y'all go follow him. You know what I'm saying? Subscribe, all that, man. But with that being said, man, that's going to be my time. I appreciate the Chasers for coming out. Go Canes. Peace.
What was it like when Miami was on top? Nico, it was an entirely different world. When Miami ruled college football, I'm telling you right now, it was a different vibe than when any other